This is Terrance Howard. Is your genius reaction video part two? Uh, it's 420. I know we have the Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia fight. I hope it's a great fight. Let's just focus on Terrance Howard's speech right now, and I hope you enjoy part two. Let's get right into it.
Simple. Our DNA is made up of what? 5 elements, right? Hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and oxygen. You know how they're arranged? The phosphorus sits right here in the middle, and you've got 4 oxygen atoms surrounding it. Then there's another phosphorus, 2 more oxygen atoms. Now these are the legs of that double helix. These are the legs. Now the latter steps on it, they become the adenine, the guanine, the cytosine, and thymine, the ATCGs. It turns out hydrogen, they used to think that energy, the body transferred or understood the energy information through electricity. They're finding out it's through frequency. Well, guess what hydrogen sounds like? It's a key of E. Guess what? And it's a color yellow. That's what proper physics gets you to. Oxygen is a chartreuse, and it's the key of F over F sharp. Now they used to, like I said, information used to be thought about as just electrical information passing on. But I got a question for you. Have you ever been at a party with some of your friends you ain't seen in 10 years, but you're like 14, you hung out with a song that came on, and everybody got up and was live at that moment. Now say 10 years later you got a friend with you. He's a good guy, but he wasn't there when me and my boys formed this. So when that song comes on, our DNA tightens. There's a particular song, a scale in the genome for each and every one of us. Now when that song is played, when your particular prime resonant frequency is played, guess what happens? Your DNA celebrates and tightens. Everything else gets pushed out. Harmonic wave resequencing. The carbon is also.
With my FICO, I get easy access to credit reports, 24/7 monitoring, and
the key of E in yellow. Nitrogen is G. And all these play a song. So say that the F over F sharps of the oxygen, the green, is only hitting at an F. Why? Because there's another frequency coming in from a generator over there. That's changing and causing it to change. So this F now hits the oxygen. And when it hits, the F hits the carbon. So instead of hitting as an F sharp, it hits as an F. So when it hits the carbon and an E, it doesn't hit it quite right. So the domino don't file right. So the next domino hits wrong. And so now we have malformation happening within our DNA because the frequencies are being pushed off. But when we hear our tone, we tighten back up. So yeah, I'm in the process of building a harmonic wave resequencer with another doctor who has been able to successfully cure AIDS and cancer.
This is extreme high level wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So take that, very seriously. I'm going to repeat the last thing he just said.
So yeah, I'm in the process of building a harmonic wave resequencer with another doctor who has been able to successfully cure AIDS and cancer. And it's well underway. But I wanted you guys to understand how that works. It's so simple. You do not need to tear the human body apart when all you can do is use frequency to bring it back to its normal space.
In the dim glow of midnight, Terrance Howard descended from the shadows, bearing secrets that could shatter reality itself.
do you think that the reason that we have like economic crises, for example, is because we are not understanding our numbers correctly according to your theory?
Well, I think we have an economic problem because we're the only creatures in this universe that use currency. There are no other creatures that use currency in order to exist. Why is it that we chose this strange thing that isn't even real? Other creatures can drink water. to eat fruit, to eat other animals. We exchange with currency, and our system of exchanging with currency is flawed because of greed. There's not like if 1 times 1 equals 2, we've got an equilibrium of balance. 1 times 1 equals 1, you've got loss. When 1 times 1 equals 3 or more, you're talking about over unity, supersymmetry, and that's how you get the universe to work for you. Instead of using just the solar voltaics off of it, you also use the piezoelectric effects of it. You use other things to make greater unity. But 1 times 1 equaling 1, when it can also equal £1 times a pound equaling the pound, when it can also equal $4 or $10 or $100. Does that make sense to you? Do you think the banks are abusing that? What's a quarter times a quarter? If I ask anybody in this room, what's a quarter times a quarter? That's 25 times 25. The computer will the calculator will tell you 6.25 cents. But we know 25 pence times 25 pence is 625 pence. That's 6 pounds and 25 pence, but the computer or the banks only have to give you 6 1/4 cents reference. Or let's say you put a dime times a dime. Let me get this out. Say you put a dime times a dime. You put that in your calculator, it says 1 cent. 0.10 times 0.10 is 1 cent. But we know a dime times a dime is a whole dollar. But the banks gives us money based on that valuation. Is that fair? And I might get shot about talking about this right now, but I've got a book coming out called Does a Dollar Times a Dollar Equal a Dollar, or Does a Dollar Times a Dollar Equal $2? And in the process, not only do I explain the death of the platonic solids, but I also introduce the new Terrance wave conjugations that replace this Euclidean way of life and gives us the death of the platonic solids, but I also introduce the new Terrance wave conjugations that replace this Euclidean way of life and gives us a 3-dimensional way of seeing the world.
The moonlit alley echoed with the weight of Terrance Howard's revelation, a clandestine truth that had remained.
A CRM shouldn't weigh your budget down.
Remained veiled in the recesses of his enigmatic mind.
That's what I'm saying. Do you want to see the world in 2D or do you want to see it in 3D? Because our math right now is 2D. Our math is black and white and stick figures. I want the world in multicolor spectral vision.
So you're saying £1 times £1 is equal to £2, but it's £1 squared, which doesn't make any sense because you've got a squared unit.
1 squared.
£1 squared.
Can you divide pounds? Can you divide money? If you can divide it, you can multiply it. All these things that I showed you guys, I patented all these things. You know why I patented them? Because in 1926, a man named Walter Russell wrote a book called The Universal One, and in it he introduced an entirely new periodic table. And there he introduced the 2 heavy water elements, and then plutonium and deuterium. All 4 of those elements that had never been discovered, he sent out to 800 different universities in his book. 2 years later, he watched as other people came and got Nobel Prizes for his work. Why? Because he didn't patent it. He didn't copyright it. So I copywrote all these things and patented all these things before bringing them to you. They are true, and I think there's some value to them. The money there's nothing wrong with the money, but how we deal with the money. But if you can divide money, you can multiply it. It works hand in hand. Okay, or you can't see that. You can't see dividing money.
Well, it's a matter of definition. If you define, it's a matter of definition. A pound squared is not a unit defined.
A pound squared.
If you multiply by mathematical convention, if you multiply £1 by £1, same as if you multiply 1 meter by 1 meter, it should be £1 squared or 1 square meter.
It becomes 2. Why does it become £1 squared? Is 2, isn't it? Now, if you look at remember what I just said about the associative and the commutative laws. It says A is to be added to itself as many times as its units in B. And the only thing that prevents that is the identity element that sits up and says, no, the Jim Crow law says black people sit in the back of the bus because that's what the law says, without even having a foundation for it. 1 times any number is that number without a foundation, with no principle. It just says it.
But if you go by your logic and you say 1 times 1 is 2, 1 times 2 is 3, and then how would you define 2 times 4? Is that's just...
All that remains the same. Anything with 1, just add 1. The first rule of
Okay, then where's the difference between addition and multiplication?
Well, multiplication is what? Exaggerated addition. Isn't it?
But isn't it a matter of mathematical convention?
It's what is.
If it was defined in the beginning, it could have been defined differently, but logical, it makes the most sense. Sorry. Isn't it a matter of mathematical convention? If you define beforehand that something, like, logically, it makes the most sense to have 1 times 1. If you have 1 laptop, 1 times a laptop is 1 laptop. That makes more sense than you say it's 2 laptops.
Well, now if you say...
And then that's where the mathematical convention comes in. And that's large part of maths is convention. It's how it has been defined. It's a matter of definition.
And it's wonderful. The convention is all right if the material and the information being shared in the convention is true. But when you're talking about dogma being added in with that thing that I showed you, did you look at the square root of 2? Do you think that that's a loop? That's a natural thing with the square root of 2? Did you believe that?
Pi, just like mathematical.
No, it's not the same though. It's not the same with pi. What we just did, we multiplied it, we cubed the number, and then we divided it by 2, and we cubed it again and divided it by 2, and we did that a number of times, and that number still remained the same exact number, which we know cannot happen.
As the city slept, Terrance Howard unveiled a cryptic journal, each page etched with the forbidden knowledge that could rewrite the destiny of nations.
It's right there. And that's what they say is the difference between, that's what they say allows 1 times 1 to equal 1, because 1, 1.414213562373095 ... is the square root of 2. But we know that that's not the case. I did it 6 years old because I've been working on it perhaps from a past life.
Good time to stop. This is part 2. Check out part 3. And I love knowledge. I hope you enjoy it. This is about wisdom, the search of wisdom, the search of knowledge. And honestly, not to get too religious, or I practice spirituality, not really religious, but as I seek wisdom and knowledge, I have to tell myself that if I'm really seeking wisdom and knowledge, I should be studying the Bible, because that is the most wisdom knowledgeable book in the world. So, take everything at face value and then dissect it for yourself. Seek truth, seek wisdom, seek knowledge. Thank you for checking out the channel. This is part 2. Terrance Howard Genius ? Reaction video. I'm your host, aka. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. And I hope you enjoyed this and got something out of it. Like, subscribe, and share. Peace.